Starting off in our number 5 spot, we have SCP-342. The SCP-342 creature normally takes the form of a mass transit ticket for the closest form of mass transportation to its current location. Currently, this demonic creature takes the form of a train ticket departing from an unknown station. When held by a person for any length of time, it will eventually change form into a transit ticket for a form of transportation its holder desires to use. This transformation always takes place when not being directly or indirectly observed, and there are no recordings of SCP-342 changing form. SCP-342 can inhabit any form of transportation ticket without being detected. If SCP-342 is validated by stamp, has its ticket stub torn off, or is disposed of in any way, it will reform into an unused ticket after a short period of time. Anyone who uses SCP-342 to board a vehicle is unable to exit their mode of transportation by any means. Once the vehicle ends its route or stops moving, the user will disappear from this reality. Users report an overpowering feeling of dread prior to boarding, and the feeling increases during the course of the travel, and shortly before their disappearance, they go into a panic-induced terror. There are many terrifying things the holder of this demon can experience, like seeing increased darkness in the sky outside of the vehicle, hallucinations, or a fear of other drivers, conductors, or other transit staff. As well as feeling threatened by other people around them, occurrences completely preventing the rider from getting off of the vehicle at any time, and seeing passengers simply appear suddenly then quickly vanish from their seats. All of these experiences are said to be like having paranoid schizophrenia. The terrifying experiences are usually only felt by the user, but sometimes bystanders and workers of the transit vehicle can experience feelings of uneasiness and will be compelled to exit the vehicle early, seeking other means of transportation. In our number 4 spot today, we have SCP-087. SCP-087, or otherwise known as the stairwell, is, you guessed it, a stairwell, and when you look down, it's pitch black with an unknown ghost-like figure at the bottom. This photo of the ghost figure has only been captured once, and we still don't know if SCP-087 is one entity or a group. The stairs descend on a 38-degree angle for 13 steps before reaching a semicircular platform. The design of this staircase limits subjects to a visual range of approximately 1.5 flights. A light source is required for any subjects exploring this creature, as there are no lighting fixtures or windows present. Due to the darkness and design, the subject needs an extremely bright source of light to be able to see the bottom. It's been seen that lighting sources brighter than 75 watts have been shown ineffective because SCP-087 seems to be able to absorb excess light. Subjects who have explored this creature have gotten an audio recording of what seems to be a distressed vocalization from what is presumed to be a child, but its age is unknown. The source of the distress calls is estimated to be located around 200 meters below the initial platform. However, any attempts to descend the staircase have failed to bring subjects closer to the source. The depth is believed to be far beyond the possible structure of both the building and geological surroundings. At this point, it is unknown if SCP-087 has an endpoint. Many people who have tried to learn more about this creature have suddenly gone missing during their exploration. It is believed that whatever or whoever is beyond the platform has extreme powers and can quickly grab the subject they desire with no one even noticing. Many believe that either below the platform or at the bottom of the stairs is the gateway to hell, or even SCP hell, where there are hundreds or thousands of SCP creatures that reside there. The mystery of these disappearances and the fact that we don't know much about this SCP-087 makes it even more terrifying. We don't know what it's truly capable of, or if they work alone, or if it's a group of creatures preying on humans. In our number 3 spot today, we have SCP-088. SCP-088 is a humanoid with reptile-like features which appears to be in a mummified form, but it's merely in a state of hibernation from which it may recover if it is exposed to a more hospitable environment than its current containment. Research has indicated that SCP-088 is approximately 6,000 years old and is capable of producing a variety of hazardous biological compounds from its mouth and hands. Some of these substances instances could be of great strategic value if replicated, but until a means to extract them without awakening SCP-088 is found, research is on hold. This demonic creature is currently sealed in its airtight case 24/7. The case is constructed of transparent acrylic plastic to resist the corrosive properties this creature possesses. This monster has been contained for more than 70 years and has only risen from its hibernation state twice. Each time personnel was exposed to the awoken demon, they experienced a painful mutation, after which they shared the physical characteristics of SCP-088. This creature also has demonstrated the ability to produce potent neurotoxins in liquid and gas form to combat containment personnel. SCP-088 was first recovered around the 1930s from a subterranean complex below Los Angeles, California. The site was originally discovered by a man known as GWS using a device he called a radio X-ray. After mapping a series of tunnels and gold deposits below the city, G declared that he found the lost city of lizard people as described in the legends of Arizona's Hopi tribe. The SCP-088 was recovered with the mummified remains of 23 other beings sharing a similar morphology. However, none of these beings found with this creature were alive, and examination suggests that they may have been originally human or possibly even half lizard, half man. Due to this creature being so dangerous to humans, it's been very hard for people to be able to research it or its origins, so many findings relating to the SCP-088 can't completely be confirmed and may never be due to the damage it can cause to humans. In our number 2 spot today we have SCP-173. Moving on to our next creature, we have SCP-173, the Sculpture. At a first glance at this creature, it may appear harmless or just a little creepy, but as it is a roughly humanoid concrete structure with stubby arms and legs with green and red facial features made from Crayon brand spray paint. But don't underestimate its abilities from its looks, as this scary creature is incredibly swift and is known to capture anyone as its victim. SCP-173 is considered a Euclid class SCP with Class 4 hazardous containment procedures, and the very first being captured by the SCP Foundation. It is the most well-known SCP of all time, rightfully so. The creature's origin is still unknown, but one thing is for sure is that it is very hostile towards any life form. There have been reports of sounds of scraping stones within their container when no one is inside. To prevent SCP-173 from escaping, it must be locked in its container at all times. When personnel enters SCP-173's container, a minimum of 3 must be locked inside the container with the creature. To stop any mishaps, 2 people must maintain direct eye contact with him at all times, and they need to notify each other when they are going to blink, as it is only able to move when no one is looking. And for that reason, you may not want to take your eyes off of this one, or you may be in deep trouble. In our number 1 spot today we have SCP-993. SCP-993 is also known as Bobble the Clown. This is a humanoid creature that directly resembles the appearance of a clown. Bobble is known for his cruelty and sadistic behavior hidden behind the cheerful and colorful face of a clown. It's the scariest thing in the world. Arguably one of the scariest SCP for the fact that his main objective is brainwashing children through a television show. Bobble performs illegal and immoral acts and takes joy from watching his victims suffer. Okay, creepy clown, don't invite him to your birthday party. Additionally, he takes delight in twisting and manipulating people through his television show. Bobble the Clown was first discovered by the Foundation after they found its show, where in every episode, Bobble would teach a new lesson to its viewers to do illegal acts and cause violence, while giving explicit step-by-step instructions on how to commit these crimes. These actions became ingrained into subjects' minds, making them obsessed to carry out the actions themselves. Additionally, repeated exposure to SCP-993's show will cause severe mental illness issues. Protocol for any SCP-993 broadcast is to be intercepted and blocked from public viewing, though episodes are regularly still getting broadcast from an unknown source. All broadcasts are to be recorded and stored for future viewing, while any subjects used to view SCP-993 must be given a Class A amnesiac after they have described the episode. With its short temper, Bobble the Clown can quickly lose his happy and cheerful mask and become incredibly sadistic, using his supernatural abilities to stalk and spy on enemies to find their weaknesses, making SCP-993 one of the scariest SCPs out there.
In at number 5 we have SCP-096, the Shy Guy. 096 is also known as the Shy Guy, but do not let his name fool you. His appearance alone can terrify even the toughest person. They are one of the most horrific SCP creatures of all. They are an emaciated, bone-white, hairless humanoid with long dangly arms and legs. This creature tends to be docile, but it has one trigger that makes them highly dangerous: whenever someone looks directly at their face. Their face has blank eyes and a mouth that can stretch up to 5 times the normal size of a regular human. No matter how close you are to this creature, if you look at its face, even from a far distance or just for a second, it will go berserk. If this happens, it will start to flail, cry and babble before chasing down the offender and violently attacking them. If 096 gets provoked and someone looks at their face, it will stop at nothing to take down their prey. There isn't an obstacle it cannot get past. It can smash through steel doors and walls, running endlessly across huge distances, and even able to swim to the very bottom of the ocean to pluck said offender and destroy them. The only ability it does not have is it isn't able to fly, but it uses its extremely long arms to run, similar to a gorilla that uses their arms along with their legs to walk, and they launch off the ground to gain air and distance for a quicker capture of their prey. If this destructive creature is able to get captured, they must have a bag put on their head to make everyone that is around them safe. But accidents happen, and they have happened. 096 is one of the most well-known, iconic and recognizable SCPs of all time. In at number 4 we have SCP-939, with many voices. 939 is known as With Many Voices, and they are a species of bright red amphibian predators, each one as big as an adult man, and they weigh over 400 pounds. They don't appear to have many vital organs, lacking a nervous system, heart or digestive tract, and their elongated heads have no eyes and a large set of glowing dagger-like red teeth. They are terrifying to look at, but also can cause mass destruction. Despite being literally brainless, they are smart due to the way they hunt their prey. They have the ability to imitate the voices of prior victims, usually repeating urgent phrases to lure a good Samaritan to come to their aid and then attack them with their deadly bite. They also exhale an amnesia-inducing chemical, so if anybody is lucky enough to escape being killed and eaten, there is a good chance they won't remember what just happened, and could possibly get fooled by the creature's tricks again. If you ever hear mysterious calls for help, make sure it's not 939, or you will be devoured by this giant red amphibian. They also like to travel in packs, which is even more terrifying, and once they lay eyes on their prey, 939s are persistent and will continue to pursue said prey until they capture them. This monster is believed by many SCP fans to be a version of the devil due to tricking humans into thinking they're innocent, taking advantage of their vulnerability, and ultimately leading to that person's demise. Using their massive mouth and sharp teeth to instantly kill their prey, 939 loves to prey on humans due to the fact that they can trick them so easily, and they can take advantage of people's kindness to lure them in. In at number 3 we have SCP-106, the Old Man. 106, or otherwise known as the Old Man, is a terrifying looking elderly humanoid. Do not let his older appearance fool you, he is deadly. This creature has the general appearance of a human but looks like a rotting or decaying corpse. It is not too agile and can remain motionless for days at a time, waiting for his prey to come to him. This creature is capable of scaling any vertical surface and can remain suspended upside down indefinitely. When 106 will attempt to incapacitate their prey by damaging major organs, muscle groups or tendons, they then pull prey into its pocket dimension. They prefer human prey from 10 to 25 years old, but if they haven't had prey for a while, they will take anyone or any living thing. This creature is very smart and has many abilities, making it hard to capture. They are able to cause corrosion effect in all solid matter it touches, engaging a physical breakdown in materials several seconds after contact. This is observed as rusting, rotting and cracking of materials and the creation of a black mucus-like substance similar to the material that coats 106. It is also capable of passing through solid matter, leaving behind a large patch of its corrosive mucus. This demonic monster remains in a maximum secure area. No physical interaction with 106 is allowed at any time. All staff must stay away, and they need to always stay at least 6 meters away from the cell, except in the event of a security breach. He resides in a sealed container comprised of a lead-lined steel, and it is sealed within 40 layers of identical material. The cell is also suspended in the air so that this creature can never be able to escape. Any object or material lost to SCP-106 is deemed missing, and no recovery attempts are to be made under any circumstances. If this creature escapes, it could be detrimental. In at number 2 we have SCP-049, the Plague Doctor. 049, otherwise known as the Plague Doctor, is popular among SCP fans. At first glance, it's not the most terrifying creature out there. It's dressed like a man who is dressed in a black hooded robe and a silvery ceramic mask with long bird-like nose. It has since been found out that this attire is an extension of his body, being fused permanently and organically to his flesh. It is a humanoid entity around 6 feet tall and resembles the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. This creature's intent is ridding the world of the disease, which has yet to be elaborated on, so no one really knows what his true motive is. He selectively chooses which patients he wants to operate on, and his mysteriousness makes him even more terrifying. His touch is fatal, and when he has a cadaver to work on, he cuts them open with no medicine and makes them watch while he performs on them with a strange set of medical tools and serums. Once the operation is complete to the Plague Doctor's standards, the patients are never the same again, and they lack any higher brain power function, so they tend to roam around in a zombie-like state. 049 goes from patient to patient because that is what they enjoy and what motivates them, so they try and find the right match quickly. If they go too long without finding a victim, they grow impatient and go completely nuts, ultimately tearing their targets apart in anger. This demonic creature is smart enough to speak but usually chooses not to. He is silent but deadly. When he does choose to speak, he rarely deviates from the subject of curing the pestilence. Under no circumstance should you ever come in contact with this creature due to his unpredictability and sudden burst of rage. You never know what it will be like, and it could be deadly for you. The Plague Doctor is the stuff of nightmares and horror movies, and you should avoid it at all costs. And finally, in at number 1 we have SCP-682, the Hard to Destroy Reptile. One of the scariest and most well-known SCP creatures is the Hard to Destroy Reptile. It is a massive cold-blooded quadruped with more intelligence than a human. Despite being highly intelligent, he is also extremely dangerous and hateful towards pretty much every living thing. This demonic creature enjoys showing humans and other life forms his distaste for them by ripping them to pieces. It also has massive strength, speed, reflexes, and can regenerate flesh at a rapid pace, and is able to adapt to hostile environments in the blink of an eye. Other abilities this creature possesses is it can bring itself back from the dead. Many have attempted with everything from bullets to acid and fire to even nuclear bombs, but nothing can destroy this beast. Not even other SCP creatures are able to destroy this monster. It can also evolve and change its body when needed. It can consume organic or inorganic materials to provide for the necessary mass, and it has been known to grow additional organs. This creature was discovered by the Foundation after it killed a few farmers on the grounds of being disgusted. If you try and destroy him or get your revenge on this creature, good luck, because it is damn near impossible, hence its nickname, the Hard to Destroy Reptile. It could appear as though you did destroy it, but that is exactly what they want you to think. They will appear dead at first, but then quickly adapt and find a counter to said opponent, returning to life with even more abilities than before. One example was that the beast was launched into the sun. It returned a few days later as a winged fire creature, which caused massive devastation when it landed back on Earth. The creature is one of the most dangerous creatures in possession by the Foundation for all its abilities and its hatred for all life.
Number 5 on this list is the Joragumo. So before we get too deep into this entry, I want to start off by saying that I hate spiders. As a kid, they were my worst fear, and I just had like zero love for them at all. And that's what makes the Joragumo especially terrifying to me. Joragumo are terrifying demon creatures who resemble large, dangerous spiders. They have the ability to shapeshift though, and can sometimes appear as beautiful women. Gajinpo says, translated to English, Joragumo means woman spider. However, the kanji can also mean entangling bride or whore spider. They are cunning and appear as seductive young women. They feed on young men who fall for their tricks, trapping them in their webs and devouring them slowly. There are several stories based on the Joragumo. In Tonogusa, a young warrior encounters a beautiful woman. Realizing she's a yokai, he strikes her with his sword and she flees to the attic. There, they find a dead spider about 30 centimeters long and surrounded by decaying bodies. In Izu, Joran Falls is home to a Joragumo. The legend says a woodcutter encountered the spider when she tried to drag him behind the waterfall. He escaped, warning the village to stay away, but an outsider met the Joragumo. Surprisingly, she let him live as long as he never spoke of it. Unfortunately, the man was the opposite of coy. The story diverges from there, but most virgins end with him entangled in spiderweb and wishing he'd kept his mouth shut. So not only am I not a fan of spiders, but I'm also a young man, literally the exact food that this beast is determined that they like. Also, how the heck am I supposed to know if this nice pretty lady just wants to go out for coffee with me or put me in her web and eat me? The legend is thought to make people question their choice in partners more, but if it's actually true, then be very careful of the Joragumo. Number 4 on this list is the Nurikabe. Nurikabe is super interesting and very different from a lot of other entries that we have on this list. I suppose that's because, in all honesty, these Nurikabe are a bit more derpy than they are scary. However, if you underestimate them or don't treat them as a threat, then that's where you're going to run into problems. The name Nurikabe translates to plaster wall, and that's a very good description of what these creatures actually are. These creatures are said to manifest as a big wall that blocks the way of travelers, an invisible obstacle that will appear to foreigners and send them in weird directions. They're so tall that you can't climb over them, and you won't be able to go around them. You'll be forced to change your direction. This is the extent to what the Nurikabe will do. They aren't going to hunt you down and kill you. They're not going to cause natural disasters or curse you or anything like that. They'll just block your path. And even though this doesn't seem like a big deal, well, it kind of is. The amount of stories that people have had about getting dangerously lost out in the middle of nowhere due to these things is insane. These are just the stories that actually get back to the public too, because a lot of times people never make it back to society. These wall creatures prey on those unfamiliar with the area, so you'll naturally completely lose your bearings if you need to go around them. These days, Nurikabe aren't super menacing because we live in a world with cell phones and a GPS, but back when we didn't have such things, these were extremely dangerous. Locals would always warn people before they went on journeys to be careful of the Nurikabe and always keep track of where they'd been. A mischievous plaster wall who back in the day took quite a few lives. Number 3 on this list is the Kappa. Kappa are gross little creatures that can be very tricky and menacing. Gajanpaw says this small human-like creature has a shell like a turtle, green scaly skin, and a plate on its head that must be filled with water at all times to stay alive. They live in Japan's rivers, lakes, and other waterways. In Shintoism, Kappa are respected as gods of water, and statues of them can be sometimes found at shrines around Japan. Kappa quirks include having an affinity for cucumbers and never breaking a promise. In the urban legend version, a more menacing Kappa loves to pull lost children and animals into the water to drown and eat. They still like to eat cucumbers, but also raw human intestines. Cucumbers! Cool, love it. Human intestines, not so cool, don't love it. For any of our Pokemon fans out there, these little guys remind me a lot of the Pokemon Lombre, which would be really cute if they weren't trying to steal our children and animals and then also devour them. Now, it's unclear if these Kappa ever were humans at one point or if they're just a mythical animal. A lot of their characteristics are similar to humans, so it wouldn't surprise me if somehow these creatures evolved from humans or maybe devolved in this case. Either way, human or not, these beasts may look cute on the outside, but they're not to be trifled with. Keep your kids and your pets close if you intend to take a stroll by some Japanese rivers anytime soon. Number 2 on this list is the Onryo. Onryo are not the sort of spirits that you want to be bringing to some sort of social gathering. Not only because they are super dangerous and could literally kill you, but honestly, they're just a major buzzkill. The word Onryo translates to vengeful spirit or wrathful spirit, and in in folklore and legend, that's pretty much exactly what they are. Vengeful spirits who have returned to the world of the living with the goal of causing harm to those who wronged them when they were living. These spirits have the power to manipulate things in our physical world, and I'm not just talking about opening a door or something small like that. They can fully change the weather and cause natural disasters to hit entire cities. This is extremely scary because if an entire city, let's say, wronged this spirit while they were alive, then they're going to exact their revenge on that entire city. Now, a lot of times these spirits are portrayed as women with jet black hair and a very pale and almost deathly complexion. It doesn't have to be women though. That's just simply how the media has shown them to be up until this point. A male Onryo could be just as likely if that spirit is holding on to some serious trauma from their life in the living. Usually people who have been murdered or had their entire lives ruined due to the selfishness of others will become Onryo. It's a lesson to all people that are living to be kind to those around you, not only just because that it's the right thing to do, but also because having an Onryo come after you isn't the best idea. And number one on this list is the Gashadokuro. So this mythical being is really not something that you'd want to run into. Gajin Paul writes, the poor unfortunate bones of those who've perished on the battlefield turn into the Gashadokuro. These yokai form in places where masses of normal skeletons lie, such as in villages after famine or disease has wiped out the population. Because they died without a proper burial or funeral rites, the souls and bones come together and create one giant skeleton 15 times the size of an average person. The skeleton specters feed on lone travelers, biting their heads off, feasting on their bones, and drinking their blood. Dracula style, guys. It's like some sort of boss from Castlevania. And it truly does feel like a boss in a video game or television show. A 15-foot tall giant skeleton that's been made from the dead bodies of the soldiers who perished here. Like, really think about how horribly terrifying a creature like this would be. You would also have no possible chance of winning in a battle against it, because how can you kill something that's already dead? Yokai says the earliest record of a Gashadokuro goes back over 1,000 years to a bloody rebellion against the central government by a samurai named Tera no Masakado. His daughter Takayasha Hime was a famous sorceress. When Masako was eventually killed for his revolt, his daughter continued his cause. Using her black magic, she summoned a great skeleton from the bodies of dead soldiers to attack the city of Kyoto. If this beast of a creature can take on an entire city by itself, then I definitely don't want to be running into it by my lonesome.